plain text marketing. It was a Friday and we didn't have anything to send out. Designs were still kind of in the process. I just fired my agency. And so I'm running a campaign right here on my computer and I'm just typing this super simple, maybe like 6 or 7 lines of copy really quickly, like one line, something like, hey, you look great today. How are you? My boss wants me to sell more shapewear. So here I am. Totally non-biased. If you wanted to buy it, try it. Done. Like it was a very quick, something like that. And I got maybe like $600, $700, $800 in revenue just in one night on a Friday. And I was like, okay, crap, like maybe we should do more of these. And it starts with the subject line. So you can't have like a corporate, like basic subject line and then have like this low-key type, like plain text email. Obviously, those plain text emails, you're even just doing like one a month if you're really against them and you love your cute designs that you make, cool. But I would definitely say plain text. And then if it works, try it SMS as well.
Hello and welcome to the DTC Podcast. I'm Eric Dyck. Today we are super lucky to be chatting with Corey Paul Nicholson from Peachy Shapewear. Now, the first thing you'll notice about Corey is that he's a 20-year-old phenom who's built a 7-figure e-commerce brand in just the past couple of years, pivoting from aggressive drop shipping in the heyday of e-commerce in the 2017 region to starting his brand in 2020 to scaling it through iOS 14 and beyond. We talk a lot about influencer marketing, how to organize it at scale, talk about financing, we talk about some really cool tactics around email marketing, and a few other hot takes. Corey is full of hot takes, and we finish it talking a little bit about Web3. I hope you enjoy this one. On with the show. Hey retailers, ever feel like your shopper experience feels just like everyone else's? Here's an idea. Put your shopper first with the only personalization platform that is purpose-built for retailers. Bluecore combines retail data and predictive intelligence to match online shoppers with the products they will buy next across channels like email, site, paid media, social, and SMS. Automate and scale your personalized content offers and recommendations for each shopper in a one-on-one individualized experience. Visit Bluecore.com to see why brands like Noble, Express, and Bliss have gone shopper first to drive repeat purchases and increase customer lifetime value. Corey, welcome to the DTC Podcast. Someone told me you're 20 years old. Can you start by telling me all about your e-commerce journey?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me. Just to take you back, a few years ago when I was in high school, I got my first laptop towards the ending of 11th grade in high school. And I started coming across all these YouTube videos on my feed of drop shipping and saw all these crazy stories about people making money selling these bracelets from Alibaba or whatever on Shopify. I had no idea what any of this stuff was. I was just some high school student working at McDonald's at the time. And I was like, all right, whatever, I kind of brushed it off. A few months later went by, I ended up, opening my first store, learning all the basics. As time went on, obviously I got better and better, and I was just drop shipping all these things from China. As time went on, I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for like 2 years. During that time, I basically fell in love with it. I became obsessed. Like this was pretty much all I did. I didn't do any more homework in high school. I pretty much went full-time e-commerce. That led to me dropping out of college after my first week. I said, I'm doing this like full time. I bet on myself and did not look back. And I said, you know what? I've been doing this dropshipping thing for a while, but why don't I start, looking more long-term with this and building a brand? And so my partner and I, Anthony, kind of got together because he lives down the street from me, still does. And we said, hey, you know what, let's actually like launch something here. And for the first 3-4 months, go slow and just see where it actually goes long-term instead of having to test new stuff every month and new stores, new products, new everything. And let's see how far we can go. And so with that came the birth of Peachy. And I've done some writing on my Twitter and everything about the success it's had and obviously a lot of the failures that came with that. And to date, yeah, here we are kind of...
Give us the high level on the success you've had, because I know you've written about it publicly. Tell us about the success you've had with Peachy in the last couple of years.
Totally, yeah. So we launched it in October 2020. We've passed this 7-figure revenue mark just recently. And a lot of that came from influencer marketing at the beginning. Like we knew, for some reason in our brains, it was instilled that the difference that we were going to kind of have with dropshipping versus this whole brand approach was that we wanted to work more with creators, influencers, and become like an affiliate-ish brand. Like we wanted this to become more of, a bunch of creators representing us versus just our Facebook page, which also has its role, of course, but more than just that. And so since day one, we were sending products to creators in hopes that they'd post something. Sometimes we'd be super specific and pay creators and ask them to post stuff, and we'd see decent-ish results now and then. Other times we'd be super authentic, transparent, and kind of just say, hey, post whatever you feel like is best, and we saw even better ROIs there. But definitely, yeah, past 7 figures. Last year was definitely crazy, and 2022, we're trying to do the same thing, but just kind of lock in more consistent systems and really build that strong network of creators. I think that's definitely one big part, and just launch more products, more SKUs, which is obviously annoying in apparel.
I love it. I wanna dive into that, but first I want to go back because I remember I was in Berlin exhibiting at a conference, I think in 2016, and Thomas, the founder of Oberlo, came up to me and he was like, "Hey, did you know that you don't even have to hold inventory? You can just like use our tool here and flip these products online." I wanted to go back to those early days for you because I remember what those days were like. Like, what was your first big win that made you go, "I got to drop out of school"? And then what did your parents think?
Totally, yeah. And it's crazy how you were around back then too. It was really insane. I knew folks personally that were just taking, this was like 2017, 2018-ish with Facebook ads. So folks were just taking $10, like bracelets that cost maybe 20 cents to buy off AliExpress, selling it for $10. And that was the definition of printing money back then. And, there's bigger brands like Native that kind of launched back then too. And, they were able to capitalize big time on Facebook back then, right? The CPAs were like incredibly low. You're paying like a couple bucks for a purchase sometimes. So that's definitely crazy. For me specifically, I was selling these like silicone kind of toe separators. So they go around your feet and around your toes. And that's what I was selling. The site was called Flexi Toes. I ended up selling that site actually. But, that was the first thing I had where I was consistently doing around like 30K a month in revenue, just drop shipping this thing. And I kind of realized the potential of e-commerce and how consistent it was. And I fell in love with like the ka-chings from the Shopify app. And that's when I was like, okay, this could probably be a big thing. And that was a few months before dropping out. But when I did drop out, yeah, my parents kind of knew that I was ambitious and they saw how hard I worked. I wasn't really looking to drop out to have time for myself or work on myself or whatever. Like I knew I had an objective of what I wanted to do and accomplish. And so they put trust in me and said, okay, you have 1 year. And that's all I needed to prove myself just a little bit. I still think there's a long way to go, but
yeah. Well, you do have a long way to go. But it's exciting that you made this much progress this early. Are your parents entrepreneurial?
No, not at all. My dad kind of works in manufacturing and my mom is more of a stay-at-home mom since she had us. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. So she raised us.
You haven't drafted in the twin yet to the biz?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Nice. I wanted to ask, so you obviously, like back in the day with the Facebook algorithm, the way it was, scaling, was a bit more of a push button type scenario. I wanted to, like, what are some of the things that you've taken from those days now that you've built a brand that you think has given you an edge against maybe some of your competitors who didn't come from such scrappy beginnings?
Totally. Yeah. Some stuff here is kind of cliche. I think some stuff is kind of actually more technical and like you can apply it. But I think no matter what, it always just starts with creative. So even back then, I guess we had a bit more levers on who you could target, and like lookalikes were stronger, and they still work now. And I think back then, ad account structures were a lot more, I guess, nuanced, and like you were actually like optimizing what interests saw what ad and lookalikes and stuff. Whereas nowadays, most brands, especially the bigger ones, like the bigger you are, like the easier your ad account structure gets. I feel like where you're just all your targeting is in the creative, and not so much in the ad set. So I guess to answer your question, yeah. The biggest thing I realized is that I can't judge ads myself. I used to make ads a lot and judge them and say, oh, this one's going to do bad, do better. But in reality, I don't really have the mind of a consumer, especially one like who's buying products from Peachy. And so for me to make assumptions like that is probably super unhealthy for the business, right? So now I just keep super open-minded and just realize that, yeah, like sometimes the least good-looking piece of content or the least, like the one that you have like the least hopes for will do the best because that's how consumers work sometimes, which is obviously paradoxical, but that's kind of what I've learned, I think.
Yeah, I think we can definitely agree on the pilot house side. It's something we see all the time. And then alternately, so going from the world of dropshipping where you're, again, this push button scaling to building an actual brand, what's been the biggest challenge for you and your partner in actually building out this brand?
Totally. There's been challenges. I can't name one. There's been challenges. I think probably to start is just inventory, considering the fact that it is an apparel thing. We're juggling 100 plus SKUs all the time. I think that's probably the first one, keeping up with just sales and making sure that not one SKU is sold out for too long. Then I'm also not overbuying. And then of course to partner with that is cash flow. And so we started this for a while. We were totally bootstrapped and just using our own money. After a while, we were growing so fast, so we had to kind of exercise some of the options available to us. And so we looked into partners like Shopify Capital and stuff like that. I also got like some working loans, but I think those were kind of the main two, was just inventory and cash flow. And then aside from that, I think we struggled a lot with influencers last year because almost 99% of our stuff, we were just shipping product, paying creators, and hoping for a good result. And when it did hit, it was beyond profitable. It was way better than Facebook. Like it was amazing. But when they don't hit, that's just a super bloody P&L. And if too much of those happen, it doesn't look too good. So that was also a struggle. But before that, definitely inventory, cash flow. It's one that every brand struggles with for sure. Like cash flow for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about cash flow a little bit. It's not something we talk about on the podcast a ton. So what options did you said you exercise Shopify Capital, which I'm just becoming kind of more aware of than sort of independent things. Like what was your sort of journey there on acquiring financing?
Well, we didn't have all the options in the world. There weren't like people knocking on our doors. There were two 20-year-old. My partner's also just a year older than me. So at the time, like we were about like 20, 21. So, and we were generally a young business. So banks aren't too excited. There's no venture capitalists chasing us. So it was more just like, Shopify Capital was available, and there are like a few like lending providers that gave us a loan at a high interest rate. But Shopify Capital is definitely the most friendliest, and I feel like for listeners out there, as long as you don't go over the 10% remittance rate, I think you're good. Of course, no business is the same, but we took the 10% one, and if we did anything over that, it would have gotten really hard because even 10% is like cutting it because they offer different percentages of sales as you pay back.
Sorry, back up.
Loan.
I'm a total layman here. 10% remittance.
Yeah, so like they'll give you X amount, and then they'll take 10% of your sales every single day until that amount paid back, plus a bit of like interest on top.
Interesting. It sounds like a Kevin O'Leary loan on the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Sounds like with the kind of thing he loves. Okay, cool. And so that was your first option. Have you explored any others?
That was like one of our first options and one that we took twice now. We've worked with them twice, and it's pretty good. But yeah, we've seen Clearco, we've seen Wayflyer. We went through everything before like just deciding. But they kind of all do the same stuff. There's even like PayPal Capital, Amazon, all that stuff. But yeah, there's line of credit, and then there's Shopify Capital, which helped us for sure last year.
And then how have you deployed it to be most effective? Is it on inventory? Is it on growth? How are you actually deploying the capital to see the biggest impact?
It's definitely those two pillars for sure. Nothing crazy. Most of it was probably put towards, I want to say like 60% inventory, 40% growth, somewhere around there. For sure, because we want to be in stock for everything if we're going to be pushing big marketing campaigns with influencers and stuff, and so it definitely helps speed things up. And
so you mentioned inventory was the other biggest half of the sort of learning curve on evolving from drop shipping. Did it get solved with capital, or are there any other like key learnings you'd have to share about like how you've gotten better with inventory?
It got solved, but everything is just temporary, right? Because as you get more gets sold, and so you have to keep reordering unless you're buying a crap ton up front, which we don't. Like the most we'll ever have on hand for any certain SKUs, maybe 90 days, which you can argue is long or short, but for us that seems pretty short. So I'm trying to piece it together, but no, I think that's definitely just that constant game of reordering and keeping up is probably one bottleneck that a lot of apparel brands face. Which is why it's not always the best business, but it has taught me a lot for future companies that run the future. Like I've now learned how to juggle all these SKUs in a female niche, etc. So if I were to pivot and do like a low SKU, higher AOV, maybe a male niche kind of audience, there could be more upside there.
You could definitely do a lot more of your UGC internally between you and your partner, I imagine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's actually a good point you make too. It's also hasn't been a struggle, but it's definitely a lot harder to scale people than anything else. And so to get like 50 plus people just making content, it's hard, and you don't want to be chasing them down, asking for content. So now we kind of have this like laid back approach where like we ship stuff. If they like it, then we truly believe that they'll make stuff, and kind of just leave it at that instead of having to chase someone down and say, hey, your payment, hey, this, that, like kind of leave it open-ended.
We talk about iOS 14.5 on the podcast all the time, and I bet I know the answer to the question, like how you overcome what its impact was, and then how you overcome the impact on the business. I bet it has to do with creative, as you've already touched on. Yeah,
creative and account structure for sure. Nothing I've really said is going to be rocket science or groundbreaking in this area, but day by day we're still kind of working on this and trying to improve it as best as we can. But as of lately, like 2022 has been off to a profitable year. Just overall in the store. Facebook's playing its role there for sure. And the way we're kind of just looking at things is just having one simple like top of funnel campaign with minimal ad sets inside there, and then we'll have a ton of ads, so maybe like up to like 10 ads in an ad set. And we're just testing new creatives. I think I told you before we recorded, we're trying to pump out 15 to 20 a week. Sometimes we get there, sometimes we don't. And it's a mixture of photos, carousels, GIFs, videos, but most of it is videos. So super simple top of funnel structure there. And then one campaign just for retargeting. We'll have like one ad set, maybe two, and just kind of put as much as audience we want in there. So video views, page viewers, add to carts. And sometimes we'll even hit them with the same creative they saw on top of funnel in that middle funnel / bottom funnel campaign just to increase the frequency. And we see that kind of works well for us. But then again, just depends on how much education, I guess, your customer needs on their product. For us, it's not too hard to show someone what it does.
I'm hearing more and more about account simplification. Cody Plofker was just on the other day talking about how everything's just in that one main campaign for them. Is there, like, I know that I think the reason that we discovered you is just you're pretty active out there on D2C Twitter. Has this community been a really valuable resource for you?
It has, yeah. Sometimes it upsets me that it's not bigger. I feel like there's like a lot of smart folks out there that put out great stuff and are running great companies that don't get, like, I guess, the attention and eyeballs that, I don't know if they want it, but they should, I guess, deserve. I think like software gets a lot of the attention, but like this D2C community, yeah, it's a little bit smaller, but super engaged. And the people that do share, including Cody, yeah, great guy, definitely has gone a long way. And you know, you can like go on Twitter and within 5 minutes have like 3 things to execute on and find yourself a content creator on there. Like the opportunities keep unfolding. E-commerce Fuel is also a great group I'm in, run by Andrew.
Nice.
If you've heard of E-commerce Fuel, yeah.
Okay, well, back to UGC here. You mentioned a big lever has been your ability to churn out like lots of creative across the whole spectrum of things. But so what has allowed you? Like, I imagine wrangling creators. We talked about you not being able to make as much shapewear, Peachy Shapewear creative yourself. And so what's been the biggest win in like attracting influencers and sort of having them more or less on retainer and able to churn out the kind of content that you need when you need it?
Totally. I think one of our end goals, like we try to almost never get creators actually on a retainer. Most of the time, we're just trying to get them to become an affiliate. So like any sales they actually make us with their code or link, they're getting paid for. But aside from that, almost rarely, especially this year, are we doing like a paid kind of retainer deal. But in the past, in 2021, we were doing a lot of that. And that's what ultimately led to us getting like 40, 50 pieces plus of content, was just reaching out to creators, hearing their rates, negotiating rates, shipping product, they'd post. However it did. Usually if it was good, we'd obviously do more and more and turn them into a long-term affiliate like we are now. But that was ultimately our goal. I don't recommend it for every brand. If I can go back, I probably would change how much we invested there and just how it worked. I think I tweeted recently how like we spent easily over $50K on influencers last year. And so it's a pricey way to get content, and there is like a potential ROI there, but it just really depends on the brand and how you view an ROI for your business. Like for us, we want to be profitable in that first purchase. Some brands don't mind as much. There's like a fine line, right?
And it's one of those things that hopefully you can refine over time, right? Like you're going out to the market with all of these, creative briefs and working with all these different creators. You're going to, like, I'm curious about your hit rate in something like that. Like, is it like 10% eventually become really valuable ad assets? Is it like, what would you describe your hit rate at with UGC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it's definitely under 20%, maybe over 10%. That was kind of like the category that we'd fall in. But then there'd also be a bunch of people that land in the middle, where like in the yellow zone, where they get a little bit of revenue and they make a little bit of content that was pretty good and could be used in ads and stuff. They had brought a good personality, and I think that's like one of the main things we're looking for now as I'm training an employee right now to help us source creators. Like just looking at that personality. And I also tweeted about this the other day, but just instead of only looking at followers or view count or measuring the success by like that one revenue driver, that one post that went live, it's more about like the community that creator is building. Like, are they kind of business minded? Are people engaging with their stuff constantly? Are they like doing a lot of videos where they're replying to comments and making content? That kind of stuff really excites me. Where like pretty much, does the creator have true fans? And you can kind of tell pretty quickly if like the same people are always raving and asking about specific things in that person's life. That's kind of cool. What we're looking for.
So you did all this testing. I love that you like, this is, an approach at Pilot House that we take as well. I think it's like the spaghetti on the wall approach, see what sticks kind of deal. And I'm curious, in all the testing that you did, what were some of the surprising things that you found that worked?
Yeah, totally. I can tell a good story about this one. There was this one animation we got done for one of our best-selling products, this like backless body bra, where it was just a rotating kind of 3D animation of the product on like a pink background. It was very simple, very basic. I think we got done on Fiverr for like under $100. But with that, we said, okay, you know what? We wanted to use that for TikToks, but for a second we threw it into our Facebook ads, kind of like Adobe campaign, and put it in the beginning and wrote some quick copy. And it went along the lines of, I found the Superman of bras. And that was just one of like the 13 creatives we tested that week. And it happened to really hit well. High click-through rate, super high ROAS. We saw it was doing well, and we were able to scale that thing for sure, at least for a couple months. And it went viral on TikTok as well and got like 2-3 million-ish views. So we knew that something there really worked. And now we're trying to obviously play around and do more of that. But that was one that really caught me off guard. I think my partner was more bullish on that topic. I was more like, oh, let's just keep doing what we were doing here. But he kind of encouraged us to explore and do more. And obviously it paid off. And just, yeah, it took me by surprise. How, like I said earlier in the pod, like the least kind of things you might have hopes for would probably do well. Same with like the TikTok organic stuff.
Did you do Wonder Woman? Did you test the Wonder Woman of bras as well?
I'm writing this down, but no, we didn't do Wonder Woman yet. We did Superman. We did Superwoman. It didn't work as well.
Superwoman. Oh, Wonder Woman's more iconic than Superwoman. I don't think Aquaman's gonna work. You might get some goth ladies in there with Batman or Batwoman, but
I like Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Always worth a test. Hopefully you can give that one a try. And you also mentioned TikTok organic, which is something we talk about with everyone. This is, we talked a little bit about this before. It's probably the biggest opportunity out there, to just get 1 million impressions in a day if you hit something right. What are you doing on TikTok organic?
Totally, yeah. I think just to add to what you said, it's the biggest opportunity, but I think it's overhyped just a little bit. I think some brands are, hot take, but I think some brands are kind of taking it too seriously and too big. But for the most part, it is generally a really good strategy. We started on TikTok back in October 2020. This was back in the day, and like I told you before we started recording as well, like there's this one time where my partner was whipping up something. This is early days at Peachy. My partner was whipping up something for the homepage, I think, on our website for Shopify, and we had one of our products that we were just like demoing from our suppliers on the ground. I filmed a quick 8-second video saying, my wedding is X days away, I'm freaking out, etc. This shaper saved my life. Very simple, like really dumb copy, and it must have got like 5-6 million views. All of a sudden we were getting hundreds of customers within a week span. We were kind of just like freaking out, and now you're still hearing more and more of those stories, but it's probably less recurring. Not less recurring, but like less percentage of brands actually pulling it off. But back then, yeah, it was incredibly, just easier to get that much views and really hook people. But now, like I said, it's getting really nuanced, and there's a lot of brands, a lot of creators pretty much competing for the same people. But it's still probably, the most under leveraged, but still a little bit overhyped, in my opinion.
We all know how tough the past 12 months have been with supply chain and marketing costs rapidly rising. Ecom World is your secret weapon to help your brand get back on track and make this year your best year ever. Ecom World is hosting an online event that will arm you with the strategies you need to grow your D2C brand profitably. Meet experts like Kellen Fitzgerald, head of ecom at Glow Recipe, and Davey Fogarty, CEO of The Oodie, as well as 80 other ecom experts who are paving the way in D2C. Get their step-by-step strategies to optimize the growth of your ecom brand right now. D2C listeners receive 30% off the ticket price, so head over to ecomworldconference.com/DTC to get your ticket now. That's ecomworldconference.com/DTC. I wanted to ask, so what are your goals? You spun up this brand, you've already exited e-commerce brand already, which is exciting. What are your goals with Peachy Shapewear in terms of exiting?
Yeah, that exit for the first one was really small, like just under 5 figures. Like it was super tiny. So I'm not even counting it. But I mean, at the same time, for this business, so we do have plans to sell it in the future. We're still we're refining every day as to when that's going to be. We're not really in a rush to do anything right now, but obviously if things come along, we're obviously actively, our ears are always open. But I think the goal would be to eventually sell or continue running this company and then continue to kind of launch more things. Like I was saying earlier, I think if I could take everything I learned right now and kind of summarize it, it's that for most folks, especially if they're starting their first business, like try to not avoid, but try to limit how much SKUs you're working with in the beginning. Like if you're juggling 100 plus SKUs, like you're just going to run into capital issues. And if you tackle those capital issues with the wrong ways, it's just like a double whammy. And it might not happen like overnight, but like 6 months down the road, you'll be like, oh crap, maybe we shouldn't have done that. So that's kind of one thing we learned is the high SKUs. And so if I can just take all that and now go to like a low SKU, higher AOV, maybe male niche, kind of where like you're understanding your customer more and like you have like that founder product fit, that'd be great. And so for me, that means maybe running some kind of fitness brand. I'm super passionate about fitness. At the same time, I'm also interested and invested into like Web3 and software, and there could be something there, maybe the intertwining of both. But I do think that e-commerce is still like one of those like golden business models for most folks.
Yeah, I want to dive into some of your predictions about the future of the biz, but first I wanted to get out what's one thing you think people should test in their email marketing?
Yeah, For that, again, is one of those unexpected results we had. But it's plain text marketing. And I'm not going to exactly read one of the templates we had, but it was a Friday, and we didn't have anything to send out. Designs were still kind of in the process. I just fired my agency because we worked with one all last year. Earlier this year, we let go of some folks, including them, and we've kind of been fine with performance for email. And so I'm running a campaign right here on my computer, and I'm just typing this super simple, maybe like one paragraph long, like maybe like 6 or 7 lines of copy, like really quick, like one line, something like, hey, you look great today. How are you? My boss wants me to sell more shapewear, so here I am. Totally non-biased. If you wanted to buy it, try it. Done. Like, it was like very quick, something like that. And I got maybe like $600, $700, $800 in revenue just in one night on a Friday. And I was like, okay, crap, like maybe we should do more of these. And I looked into it more, and it does sound like, email service providers like Klaviyo do like when you have like more, I guess, like clickable and like text in your campaigns versus like a whole like PNG design just dragged in, which is what we usually do. So I'm not sure if it's that or just maybe I'm a good copywriter or maybe both, but those plain text emails, you even just do like one a month if you're really against them and you love your cute designs that you make, cool. But I would definitely say plain text. And then if it works, try SMS as well.
And I think it's funny, you mentioned just 2 things in your copywriting. Previously you were talking about the angle of Superman of bras, the worry that you'd have about your wedding. These are all just really great direct response things. And I think the thing to call out in your email strategy here is like this idea of like my boss doesn't know that this is happening. It's funny. I remember when The Hustle did that for something, they were like, oh, this went out on error. Maybe it was an error, but then they spun it into a big promotion and it really worked. But that idea of just a little bit like, this isn't supposed to happen, but here you go, is just, I think that's really powerful. And
it starts with the subject line. So you can't have like a corporate, like basic subject line and then have like this low key type, like plain text email. Obviously, as simple as that sounds, we made a mistake. It all starts with the subject line. Even like small little gigs, like putting like RE and like colon, like read, like my boss said this, or now and then like when you get a calendar invite, usually it says invitation and colon. So we've tried that too, where it's like invitation and colon, like come try this, and then we'll have them like click. I'm not sure how that works legal wise and stuff. Definitely haven't like looked into that too much, but I think it all starts with the subject line for sure.
What's your sort of trend with TikTok and Facebook ads right now? Are you spending on TikTok ads as well as organic? And then what does your spend mix look like compared with TikTok compared to Facebook right now?
I think right now we're still like 75% Facebook, 25% TikTok / Google. I guess we can throw it in there, but like we are doing some work with like the Spark ads and trying to run stuff through creators pages and stuff. I think it might continue to increase, and we kind of want to even out a bit more, maybe like 60-40, but I still really believe, like I'm super bullish on Facebook, and I think that their ad platform isn't like as bad as some people also may say. I think if you figure out creative and kind of pump things out, you can still see like good results and like scalable results on there. Maybe not as good as before, like before August and stuff, but and I think TikTok is also, one of those things where attribution's so hard, and you're not, like you said earlier, just like spaghetti on the wall. You're not going to see every conversion it brings in, no matter what attribution software you're using or post-purchase survey. Like it just won't go back, and Facebook will probably get it as like view-through conversions. But Spark ads and TikTok ads are definitely getting more of the mix, and they are probably profitable, but it's hard to just like verify it sometimes.
And then what are you doing on the tracking side of things? You'd mentioned you'd sort of tried a bunch of different third-party software for tracking. Yeah.
What we're doing right now, nothing. We're just keeping it like we're just doing what it's based off intuition. We know like the rough numbers, but we had High Rose, we did Triple Whale, we were this close to North Beam and Elevar. We kind of looked at all of them. These are like the 4 big names. I feel like there's a few more like Wicked Reports and stuff. We did all that. And it's not to say they don't work or they do work or anything, like no bias there, but we just felt it was best to probably just like cut the expense and kind of just work with what we have. It also depends on the size of your brand. And if you're already doing like X dollars per day organically and it's hard to backtrack, it's different. But for us, we're fortunate enough, I guess, to launch ads and be able to see the revenue move. And so it's just about making one change at a time and then measuring results like that.
Nice.
It's kind of
okay. On to the future here. When I was your age, and I'm going to age myself really badly here, the internet was just coming out, and it was like, it was still, I was on like IRC chats trying to log onto the internet, and we're like, what will the internet be? Yeah. Netscape. Oh, wow, you were in the crib when Netscape was around.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, because right now I feel like we're at that stage in like that 1998, 96 era for Web3. And I'm curious, how are you thinking about the evolution of specifically like this e-commerce space as it relates to like Web3?
Totally, yeah. I think like if we're talking about Web3, I guess like the first thing that comes to mind obviously is NFTs. And I think one idea I've had, and I've even talked to folks like back and forth about it just loosely. I think even Nick Sharma wrote an email about how like most loyalty programs suck, like Smile Rewards and stuff. Like they don't really do much for your store, and you're just paying money. And it's like, how can we kind of intertwine NFTs with that whole loyalty rewards to really incentivize people to come back, rep your brand, earn coin that you can use on the store and stuff like that. That was kind of, I guess, like one idea I had. So I don't have like too much specifics here, but I do know that as time goes on, whether if it's on Ethereum or Solana or whatever, NFTs with e-commerce are going to become more of a bigger play. And we're starting to see it now with like Adidas and like the Bored Apes, and it will make its way down to like smaller DTC brands, but
I'm really interested for the way that things like Kickstarter merge, where it's like, okay, and so you basically, if you see a brand that you love and you want to buy a bunch of it, or you want like that opportunity to invest in these brands and sort of grow with them as they grow. So then you're a customer, you become an advocate, you become an influencer, and then you have potentially some ownership in its growth as well, which is, I think, a really neat opportunity.
Right. And I agree. Actually, that's a great point. And it's not as big of a shift as I think some people may think, because with Kickstarter, like, you're kind of putting down some fiat money. Maybe you get like a t-shirt in advance for being an early backer. You read like the white paper, like, quote unquote, and like see the video of the product before it's built and stuff. You invest whatever, and then if it works and they raise enough, it's great and it kind of works out. If not, you're kind of out of luck. I think there's just a tipping point as to like consumers ask themselves, why would I use Ethereum or Solana or whatever versus fiat? And once they figure out why, because there's a lot of reasons why, and I'm not Gary Vee, and he can explain it to you, but there's a lot of reasons why. And once most people figure that out, it switches, and I think it's just going to really like start to waterfall, and it's starting to happen slowly. Right, just like the on-chain kind of upside, right? Like where you, instead of just getting that t-shirt, you're actually getting that coin. That coin can accumulate in value, or you can use it to buy more stuff, rep the brand, like, and everyone likes to rep like what they were early to, especially digitally. Like that's kind of like how everything is. So that's kind of
and you own that, and you can sell it. You can pass it on. You could take fractional ownership of how it grows after the fact. And there's so many interesting opportunities. And I love that you brought up fiat. This is the first time anyone said fiat on the podcast. And I feel like we're seeing some of the issues with fiat currency, right now with these insane sort of inflation numbers. Do you have any other sort of like broader predictions about crypto? Are you into crypto as a young person? Like, do you really feel like it's the future?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that are younger like me kind of are more bullish than like the older folks. Like I was speaking with some investment bankers like last week, and like most of them don't even own any Bitcoin and stuff, which is fine. Like I own very small amounts of Bitcoin, but yeah, I did buy a lot of Ethereum back in like early 2020. And I've seen Bitcoin kind of do its thing, but less on the Bitcoin side, more on the Ethereum side. I really like just to understand the tech and stuff, and yeah, I am pretty bullish. I think that maybe wild take, but yeah, over the next 1 or 2 years, it might be like really bad and bloody, and like you can compare stuff from 2018 crash till now. But yeah, I do think that Ethereum is still like really undervalued. But e-commerce is my gig. It's just that's like a side thing.
I love it. I invested a little bit last night on some crypto gaming, because I saw a TikTok about how it's like the most undercapitalized space right now, with like $1 trillion market cap, and it's got like a 333x over the next couple of years. This is not investment advice if you're looking. Advice, yeah. But that's
at
really
all,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're e-commerce guys, yeah. But there's definitely predictions.
Back to our stock e-commerce question, which is, if we were to give you a $50,000 grant for you to use in your marketing over the next, call it like 2 to 3 months, 1 to 3 months, how would you deploy that capital for the biggest impact?
So out of the $50K, I would probably right away invest a good $20K into inventory. And then with the rest of that $30,000, we'd probably just speed up everything we're already doing with our team and stuff, and maybe bring on one more person to help with onboarding creators and getting them like to go down that loop, and then spending a bit more on Facebook, scaling up the ad account, but like slowly, obviously. But it would help. I would say inventory for $20K, and the remaining $30K, some would just keep in cash, because that's obviously super king, and then the rest we kind of use just for growth, and maybe bring on one more staff member, and just making things that we're already doing just go a bit faster, a bit smoother.
Love it. Now, on this podcast, we like to manifest. And it's funny, I was just on my last TikTok episode with the Pilot House team. I was saying, you know what we know would be great for Pilot House to get is a new watch client for TikTok. I think watch client would work really well. And then all of a sudden, boom, someone like messages out of the blue. I was like, I was listening. I'm your watch client. Let's go. So you right now, you're sort of in the orbit of an exit. Like if there was one thing, like a listener in the D2C space who is listening right now, who would like be the most valuable, like, asset to Peachy Shapewear if they were listening right now, who would you like to call out? A buyer? An investor?
Probably not. No, I think it's someone more on the operations side, especially with inventory and like logistics. That's kind of someone who I want to speak to. Like they can DM me on Twitter. Just kind of if someone has a lot of experience, like with in the past, we're working with like 7-figure annual revenues and stuff, and forecasting inventory, and of course, like, even those forecasts will be wrong, but like they're probably better than mine, and so I think that'd be the main one, and then followed by investors, which is definitely helpful.
You always want to be. What's the name of that position? Is that a director of operation? Is that inventory operations? Like, what's the actual position that would be that you'd be hiring for with that?
Yeah, it'd be like the name of it would be like head of inventory and logistics. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. And then finally, are the Leafs going to make it out of the first round this year, or are you too worried about their goaltending situation?
It's another hot take, like I said, about how TikTok's overhyped. I think that with the Leafs, if they play Boston the first round, they are going to get past. If they play anyone else, they won't. That's my hot take for the Leafs. I think the goaltending issue is not that big of a deal. I think they're doing all right, and I think that they'll have momentum in the first round. And I think, yeah, if it's against Boston, they actually will get past. But if it's not, I think for some reason they're just going to, be that non-playoff team they are sometimes and lose.
I love it. This is specifically for my editor, Declan, who is a full-out Blackhawks fan. And so woe be to him because they're in the middle of a rebuild, so they'll be trading away a lot of their best assets this year. So sorry about that, Declan. But yeah, back to D2C, because this is not a fiat podcast or a Web3 podcast or even a hockey podcast. It is the D2C podcast. And I want to thank you for coming on it today.
Totally. Glad to be here. I'd love to come back.
Yeah, let's stay in touch. And then, we'll look for you on Twitter. You got to, where should people be following you here? What's your handle?
Definitely on Twitter. Yeah. My handle is Corey, like COREYNCEO. That's my handle.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Cheers.
Take care. See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at direct-to-consumer, all one word, .co. I'm Eric Dyck, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.